thought I was the guitarist way before that noodle. I've got half a mind to hunt them down and start screwing with their heads. 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 And start screwing with their heads.
Something in that house was messing with our melons.
Yeah, I was wrong. That's not Paula Cracker. Hello readers and digital people, and welcome back to gpreeds. I am your host, Grant Reeds. And over the last few weeks, I have been diving into the current Gorillaz lore, and how that could connect to the earliest days of Gorillaz, from Pazuzu, to Paula Cracker, to the Boogeyman. Well, I was looking in the wrong place this whole time. While Paula Cracker is more than likely referenced here, this entity is more than likely not her. And to explain why, here's my mad scientist doppelganger.
Hello again, everyone. Today, I want to bring you back, but not to the early days of Gorillaz. No. Let's take a look at the comeback after Plastic Beach. This analysis begins at the dawn of Humanz, with a Z.
The bath! Hey you guys, I'm just gonna take a bath.
Oh, look! It's the bath. Lovely. Looking at it now, it's not the most inviting deep soak ever, but something in that house was messing with our melons, because to me, it looked heavenly. Hot bubbly water, scatter of rose petals, candles, smooth jazz on low.
Now before we move on, let's take a closer look at this house. The Spirit House in Saturnz Barz is nearly identical to the Spirit House used in the 1997 performance art expose by Marina Abramovic. Some of the scenes from the Saturnz Barz music video even match up with the pieces displayed there. My first instincts told me that the morphing woman was either an entity that Marina had summoned, or perhaps Marina herself. The mystery woman does resemble a younger version of her a bit, and Marina might have been involved in something like summoning the being that I believe is Pazuzu, as she does practice in the occult art form. It's hard to say, but it would explain why the woman was not represented by an animation. She's an actual person. Though those lines are often blurred, like Andre 3000 in the Do You Thing music video, or Snoop Dogg in the On Melancholy Hill music video versus Welcome to the World of the Plastic Beach music video. It seems that live actors and animation are interchangeable, depending on the mood or setting.
So it still could be Paula Cracker, or the impersonator here. Anyhow, let's get into Murdoc's part of things.
Why is he smiling? Murdoc rarely smiles, and when he does, it's usually more devious than happy. And he suddenly believes in love now? Something happened in that house, that's for sure. Now let's take a look at what occurred afterwards, because although Murdoc did shift here, he was still his old self most of the time. It was not long after this that Murdoc got himself locked up. While Murdoc was in jail, 2D really gained his stride, no longer bogged down with Murdoc looming over his shoulder. He quickly gained the spotlight of the band, and his confidence brought with it a second renaissance to Gorillaz. When Murdoc did eventually get out of jail, he was quick to notice that the band treated him differently. He was still the band owner, yes, but he was not honored as the leader. 2D had gained that role, the band having moved on to a more respectful dynamic. In the music video for Momentary Bliss, we can see that Murdoc is experimenting with dangerous potions. This may also be displaying his self-harm tendencies when he is not in control of a situation or is not having his ego fed. Murdoc's decline is displayed further when the band uses the portal to go for a boat ride, and they leave Murdoc behind. He can be seen suffering and displaying his sadness and insecurity when no one is around to watch. The next time we see Murdoc, he is scheming something on the set of the Aries music video. During the filming, Murdoc pulls out a syringe and jabs 2D in the side. The rest of the band find out that Murdoc wanted to film the music video alone with 2D and suspect that something is up. They all rush to the set and discover what Murdoc has done. The band then gets into a tussle. The Gorillaz wiki states, after being injected with a syringe in his side, Russell gets out of his vehicle and punches Murdoc in the nose again for hurting 2D, with Noodle pulling him off. In the Machine Bites preceding Aries, 2D explains the portal in the New Kong studio to a confused and curious Murdoc, after teasing him about crying because he was left behind. My theory is that Russell perturbed by 2D's newfound cockiness, punched him as well, explaining the injuries to his face. After some convincing, it is revealed that Murdoc had jabbed 2D with a truth serum, and that it didn't seem to have worked. Whatever questions he had asked 2D, he was not satisfied with the answers. It is later revealed that Murdoc did this to try to gain access to the portals, and by doing so, returned to being the most useful member in the band, and returned to the spotlight. In the Pac-Man music video, Murdoc can be seen hiding alone in a closet, planning his next scheme. The door reads, Murdoc's portal, for if he can't gain access to the new portals, then he will make his own. Kind of. Notice that the door also reads, Murdoc's box. Off 2D. He won't let him get this one. This is his phantom toll booth. Murdoc had built the Pac-Man game cabinet for 2D to distract him while he constructed his own portal for Kong. Noodle finds out how long 2D was entranced by the game, approximately 9 hours, and runs to snap him out of it. 2D is growing even more confident after the fight was settled in his favor. You could see the ghosts in 2D's eyes reflecting the Gorillaz, as his Pac-Man devours them. Russell had already grown tired of 2D's cockiness and expressions of superiority, as shown in the Humility music video, and again in Friday the 13th music video. Noodle is also growing tired of his antics. She saves him from the hypnotic game cabinet, but she doesn't seem pleased with 2D at all. In Strange Times, Murdoc can be seen smiling again, as the band take an RV trip to the moon. Here, Murdoc finds a portal, and still consumed by jealousy over 2D's portals, he interacts with this untested wormhole, and it sends him tumbling through space-time. He survives the ordeal, and exits the portal on Earth, but it has clearly shaken him up. The next time we see the Gorillaz, Noodle has taken the gang, excluding Murdoc, on a joyride. At the end of the video, the gang are sucked through a portal that spews them out near Plastic Beach. It is unclear if the portals were made by Murdoc's incessant need to create portals and prove his worth, or if something else pulled them in. But my money's on Murdoc. The story continues in the last chord, where Murdoc wakes up on Plastic Beach, wearing the mask of the boogeyman. He pulls the mask off, gasping for air. He hadn't realized how much he still feared the being, and how it was still consuming his mind. He had cheated the demon, and it was unclear if the boogeyman was fooled or not. Murdoc couldn't risk his soul being taken. He needed to redirect his attention to the boogeyman, and put the portal ordeal on the back burner for now. 2D pukes up a tiny replica of the whale that had haunted him, reminding him that though he had overcome his fears and become more confident, that there were still bigger things than himself out there. He may have sped up the whale, but he swallowed his pride. The group take a look around the island of discarded memories and dead acquaintances and enemies. Murdoc spots the cyborg Noodle and is reminded of the bond he had formed with the guard, the only person who had never abandoned him. His dark heart melts, and he weeps for his losses. Now this part's completely unfounded, but I believe that Murdoc had made a deal with the sea deity, or demon, to be able to create the portals that brought them all there. It likely required a sacrifice for its use during the ritual, and it takes Plastic Beach as that sacrifice. The portal reopens unexplainably, and the gang jump through. All but Murdoc, that is. They leave him behind. Again. But just when all hope is lost, the portal reopens, and 2D, having realized that being cruel to Murdoc was not the answer, grabs hold of his hand and saves him. And that brings us back to Cracker Island, where Murdoc is again seen as the head of the band, and is allowed to start a cult using the band as its unquestioned leader. Murdoc had not forgotten about the looming troubles presented to him concerning the boogeyman, and the cult was the first step in opening a new portal. And this time, he would sacrifice the boogeyman for its use, ending his problems for good. He hid this plan from the band, stating that the cult was to make the world a better place. And it was. For him. After the events of the Lost Chord, he didn't want the band to know what his new plans were. It was then that the entity from the bath made itself known, presented itself to Murdoc as the lady with red hair. It had been working on his mind for some time, opening his heart and causing him to feel, to smile. It wanted him to feel love. It wanted him to love it. Think of the bath as a long game version of a love potion. It claimed to know of a way to secure Murdoc's place within Gorillaz. But not only that, it told him that it could save his soul from both the likes of the boogeyman and his eventual payment of his soul to Pazuzu. She would help him convince Pazuzu to allow Murdoc to keep his soul, in exchange for giving him a physical body in this world, and bringing him through said portal. Murdoc liked the sound of that, and began plotting alongside the woman. We don't know the details of this elaborate plan just yet, but I believe that this creature, at some point, pretends to be Paula Cracker and convinces the band that she is out to destroy them for kicking her out of the band, reminding them of the rumor of Paula calling the plane attack on Plastic Beach. The creature, pretending to be Paula, attacks the group, and Murdoc convinces them that they need to complete this ritual to seal her away for good, or perhaps change her into a less malicious state so that she doesn't continue to try to kill the band. They agree to help with the ritual. The portal is opened, and Pazuzu claims the body of Russell. The Paula creature seemingly dies, or actually dies during this process, supposedly trying to stop the ritual from happening, and the body is brought to the hospital. The creature is either revived or awakened by Pazuzu, who may have made a deal with her in exchange for talking Murdoc into making him a vessel in this world. And she slithers to Murdoc, revealing that she was never Paula, but the being pretending to be her. She now has Murdoc's heart in her hand, warped into loving her. A true siren, a lady of the lake, or should I say, a lady of the bath.
This literally just came out while I was editing this video.
I was informed by commenter, can't think of a better name. You know that the neighbor that 2D interacted with in one of the episodes of his podcast? In an enemy article released yesterday, it was confirmed that the woman in the music video is the neighbor that Murdoc keeps spying on.
Okay, this doesn't completely debunk my theory, does it? Let's take a step back and see how we can work this new info in.
Something changed in Murdoc that allowed him to love, and it started at the bath. So let's keep that part in. I guess that instead of a proper possession by the lady, that it was Pazuzu, or whoever this entity is. It was the one playing the long game. It opened his heart, and caused Murdoc to fall for his servant, the neighbor lady at Silver Lake. And he probably convinced Murdoc to move there in the first place, so that the two could meet. And all of the changes made within Murdoc was to lead him into setting him free, and giving him a vessel. The lady being an acolyte of the being, likely never required hypnotizing. She would do whatever was asked of her. Who's to say she's even truly in love with Murdoc in the first place, and not just using him?
The Paula disguise ruse still stands, okay? As well as the rest of the theory. What's your thoughts on the matter? Have any suggestions for Gorillaz theories? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss more Gorillaz lore. And in the meantime, as always, keep your eyes wide open and never stop reading. I'll see you all. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Now I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my patrons and channel members. Thanks to you, I'm able to do what I love. CNK114, Investigator Zeus, Dobby's Music, Jera Mullins, Bree Spirit Katie, Poof Poof, MC Darfer, Vexus, Agnieszka, Granny Monster, Nightmare Luna, Practical Necromancy, and Archer. Really, thank you so much for everything you do. It means the world to me.